it was 3 years after I'd got out of the 82nd Airborne Division. I'll never forget this. My wife looked me right in the eyes and she said, Paul, you're finally home. And I said,
wow.
I said, what are you talking about?
Wow.
She goes, the man I married is now here.
3 years.
It took 3 years. I was 3 years in, and it took 3 years out to calm down and stop giving orders and disciplining my son like a soldier.
You were a great soldier. You had been molded perfectly. And didn't realize that you had been molded.
I never lost my sense of self or my sense of direction. I just felt like, how in the hell did I get in here with all these crazy motherfuckers that don't think for themselves, and I can't wait to get the hell out.
Yeah.
But the intensity of it was what I brought home. And I was always wanting to win and then succeed, and so I had a lot of push in me, and I was in a very technical field. So
you were not a fun person to be around.
No, I'm sure I wasn't, and I didn't know it. I really thought I was doing the best I could do for my family.
That's right.
But it took her to tell me, you're finally back. And I'm like, wow, it was almost like
a massive eye-opener.
Well, it's kind of like you come out of a trance and you didn't know you were in one.
Yeah, and it feels good.
Yeah, well, it does.
Oh, my God, that is true. I am back.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the point I was driving at is that when you're in situations like that where, like your wife and kids, like my wife never went on post. She wasn't even allowed to get near where we're at because I was in a 0-1 priority unit, which means you're the first one to go to war. So it's very intense. There's a lot of advanced technology. No one's allowed to come in the door. I mean, it's a different environment. And so it's hard for a person, imagine being married to a detective who's working on cases that they can't divulge or things like that.
Oh, yeah.
It's hard to really, for that person to understand who it is that's coming home and what they're going through.
Mm-hmm.
And then they don't really know what you're exposed to all day, and you don't really understand. Most men...
I don't know how one can create intimacy in that kind of a situation.
It's tough.
Because what's deeply affecting you, you can't talk about. And that's what creates connection, is talking about your vulnerability.
Yes. And that's also what leads to a lot of affairs and use of prostitutes, because they don't want to lose their kids, they don't want to lose their family, but they'd also want to get their sex needs met, but they're not getting them because if you push a woman far enough, the only thing she's got left to get her point across is no sex. So it causes this huge rift. And so what I'm trying to drive at here is that I think if we were taught how to express our wants, feelings, and needs without and exploring what the other person's feeling. And like you said, how are we doing right now?
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes I think a man thinks they're doing well because they're making money and there's food on the table, but the woman doesn't feel that they're doing well because there's no connection, there's no intimacy, and it's just feed me and get out of my way so I can go back and kill another commie for mommy or whatever it is. But I guess really what I'm trying to say is that empathy is something that we have to practice, and we have to understand that it doesn't mean that you're giving up your position. It doesn't mean you're losing. It doesn't mean you're lowering your sense of rank. It just means you actually care.
Wow. Good. You get a graduation certificate.
It just means
I just fucking care. Wow.
I just care.
Yeah. That's what it means. I care. And that's the message that they feel at a felt level from you, because you don't have a position.
Yeah.
That's really important.
Yeah.
Because if you adopt a position, then you've got something to defend, you old warrior, you.
Well, let me tell you something. I hope there's military people listening to this because they'll have some more understanding of it. But for the rest of them, they may not. But part of what you have to do to train to kill people is to learn not to care. You have got to take the human being out of them and turn them into an object. And that is exactly why I get concerned about censorship aside from all the other things I do. Because when you censor people, you turn them into an object, and it's okay to hate them.
They are that we shouldn't listen to.
Yes.
They're bad.
And we got to get rid of them.
Yep.
And the reason people are getting sick with COVID is because these non-vaccinated people are the carriers. Well, the research turns out to show it's actually 13 times more likely you're going to get it from a vaccinated person, but they don't ever tell you that.
Yeah.
So what happens is, you see, when you start objectifying people, then there's no room for or function for empathy anymore. And so now what we have is really robots fighting robots.
That's the thing.
And that's
the
beginning of the end.
The people who have been censored, they respond by objectifying.
Yep.
Corporations bad, government bad.
Yeah.
Well, it's just a lot more complicated than that.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of intentional deception.
Yeah.
And it's really hard for somebody just floating around on the internet who doesn't want to spend a lot of time and fact check this thing.
Yeah.
Which
really is dangerous. Today you need to devote the time.
When you do today. You do. Yeah.
Yeah. You got to devote the time because your life depends on it.